Hello, my name is Sean Littlebear. I'm coming to you today from Concho, America. I am a Southern Cheyenne tribal member, and I am a traditional drum maker. I have been making drums since about the late 90s, and before that I got into it in the late 80s, trying to find out what was all involved with drum making. It was born out of a desire to not only to sing, but to actually to be comfortable with doing what we do as tribal people, and that is to gather around the drum and have a good time and accomplish some things as families and as tribal people. I'm going to show some of the elements of what you need to make a drum. I'm going to go over some of the things that we do, some of the little tricks and things that you don't find in books or in magazines. And I brought a couple of things that I have already made, some drumsticks, a little drum, and if we have enough time, I'll go ahead and tie this 15-inch drum. That way you can see the actual tying of it, and I will describe what it took to gather, what's needed. It takes a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of effort, energy, but it's not something that you can just do overnight. It took me about 10 years to go through an apprenticeship and then to learn from master drum makers. You really got to be committed to it, and it's kind of a lifelong journey. I am still learning as a drum maker. And I am one to tell everyone that I don't know it all. This can be done and it can be achieved in a small format. If you want to move on to the larger formats, either a large hand drum or a powwow drum, it's going to take more effort, more energy, more skill, more of everything that you need to know. The first thing you want to do is find a drum frame. I brought a couple of examples here. These are maple shells that are formed around a circular form, and then each laminate layer is built up to where your layers build up to a certain thickness that is able to accept the skin contracting around it. The smaller rim is thinner and has less layers than, say, one of these bigger rims. This one is in a 15-inch size. This one is in a 20-inch size. And it's obviously a lot thicker, and it's ready to be machined and ready for skin. This one I have already smoothed out the edges with a Dremel tool, and I've stained it with some waterproofing urethane. So it's ready to go, and when we get to this one, we'll actually put some skin on it, and then I'll tie it tight, and it'll take a few days to dry, but we'll be able to show you how a drum is actually made. This one, the small one, is actually already made. It's made out of a goat skin, and the rim for this is actually the same kind as these other two examples that I brought, but it's even thinner. There's even less layers to it. So you can use a thin hide. You can't use a real thick hide on it because it would warp or distort the rim or even crush it. But it has a really nice sound for a 12-inch rim. So this is made from goat hide, and it's made for kind of a smaller type, like a practice drum. If somebody wanted to use it, they could use it in a smaller room or something. So there's not really one way to make the drums, and that's one of the things that I wanted to tell everybody out there. If you have an interest in making drums, drumsticks, the beaters for them, there are lots of different ways. And as an artist and as a tribal individual, I've learned a lot from all the older artists and other tribal individuals. And I just wanted to say that you need to interject your own personality, your own energy, your own style in everything you do. That way you make it the way you want it to be made. In learning how to do these things, you just need to learn a starting point and find out where to go to get the rims. And then later on, after you get some tools to work with, these are an assortment of my scissors that I like to use and a couple of the little pliers. You learn how to control the skin and make it do what you want it to do, rather than have the skin dictate to you. You'll need a waterproofer or a stain or something that comes from woodworking to finish these. You can use paintbrushes, you can use sponges, you can use rags if you're going to stain it. And then normally what we do is urethane them so that they don't absorb water and they won't warp afterwards. So this one has been urethaned and it has been worked, and it's ready to put skin on. These two are not. They still need a lot of work. They're in the raw, and they are rock hard maple shells. They're not the most expensive kind, but these would be available at all kinds of different tribal outlets, as well as where you buy dance and powwow items. You can actually also buy rims that are made in an octagonal shape, and they kind of look like stop signs, and they come in different sizes from 8 to 12 inch up to 14 to 16 inch, and then 18 to I think 24 in the smaller sizes. And then you can actually get octagons all the way up to powwow size, 28 to 34, 36. Once you have your elements, your skin, and you decide that you want to have, say, a light colored skin, which is normally bleached. This example is bleached cowhide, and then they have a natural cowhide, which is just with its natural oils and natural color. There's a lot of different variations to these, but you want to get a skin that it doesn't have any holes, doesn't have any thin spots. One of the things that you can look at in the store is to have them unravel the hide and look at it through a strong light, like a ceiling light or a lamp. And what that will do is it'll show you the scars, the little parasite holes, skiv marks, barbed wire cuts, all of that. You want the premium hide that you can buy that doesn't have holes, doesn't have the marks, doesn't have those things that can actually make your drum split once it is dry. You want to steer away from those. Once you find out what you want, procure your elements, and then we'll talk about the skills that you need to actually put it all together and make something that sounds really good. Like I mentioned earlier, I brought some of the tools that I use to actually cut the leather once it is, it's actually not leather, it's actually raw hide. Once you soak the raw hide, I use a big plastic trash barrel at home and push the hide down into it once it starts to get pliable. And then I unroll it, and I'll take some of my scissors, This one actually does really good on cowhide. I know it's a 10 snip, but believe it or not, these 10 snips work really well. I also use a longer version of the 10 snip, but this doesn't work as good without on the thicker hides, because they get kind of a slimy feel to them, and you need a short, stocky pair of scissors that can actually cut through the thickness of the hide. And sometimes you're going to need to use both hands to cut through the actual hide, because it actually is very thick once it's soaked and it plumps up. So since we're doing just a hand drum today, I've already cut a pre-cut round, and I've already had it soaking in some water, and I've used some of these metal punches that punch holes in different sizes. And some of these are really old. I got them from actually other drum makers that kind of handed them down to me, and others I bought in different sets. And I use this one today to start working the leather, the rawhide, that we are going to use for our 15-inch drum frame. Here I have my holes punched. We always work from the skin side in. So you always punch the skin side so you'll have a nice smooth punch on the top. On the bottom, if one of the holes grab and you have to cut it off, the trim side you want to be on the inside. So we'll work from the skin side in, facing of the drum. We start here, and then I'll make a second punch on the other side opposite. And then I'll do the next one over here, and then the next one opposite that. That way we have 4 holes, and then we'll do in between those, the holes, make another one, and then opposite that. And then we'll go just in halves until we get 16 holes. Then I use this size to actually cut around the holes. After you pound the holes and use the scissors to cut the excess out from between your holes, then you use another pair of scissors to cut a chunk of rawhide, and you go around the edge and cut out just enough to go through the holes in your lace. And then I'll go around my elbow, and I'm looking for between 4.5 to 6.5 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5. And there we have our lace. It's ready to go. This rawhide was actually not, it was not as big as I wanted it to be. I didn't have enough to cover the entire frame, which normally that is exactly the way that I would want to do it. But I can use kind of a trick to use a different kind of tie. That way I can tie the drum, and it's going to still have a good sound to it, and I'll be able to use the lace that I've already have with this size of round to make the drum out of. So once you soak your hide, you put your drum frame out on top of your rawhide, and you measure it out. Ideally, you want a little bit more because it's going to shrink up. So I usually use about a 1/4 of an inch to about 3/8 of an inch over the entire rim. That's going to give you a lot of gather to your rawhide, but there are tricks and there are ways to alleviate that. So we're going to cover some of those as we go on later. I can do maybe a bigger drum, and I'll show you some of those, how we do those. On this one, what I'm going to do is take some of this lace, and I know it takes an awful lot. To tie one drum, your lace should go around your drum frame about 4.5 to 6 rounds. That will make enough lace to go between the holes and through the center and over to the other side. And then you'll be able to go all the way around. These have been quartered. If you notice on the rawhide, there are 8 holes on each side. So I have 16 sets of holes, 32 in all, because each hole is considered one. I did a double hole for each time I go through from the lace from one side to the other. You can go in either 8, 12, 16, 18, and 24, and that'll keep your symmetry just the same. On this one, I did a double hole, so the lace will go through and it'll actually pull on this one set. So we've got 16 sets, and we're going to make a 4-sided centerpiece so you can grab a hold of, and each one of those centerpieces, it will entail 4 holes. So once we get this all put together, you'll be able to see how working with a set of holes that are symmetrical will be a lot better for your project. So we're going to go ahead and set our rim on the project. And what I like to do first of all is to set everything together. This is what your drum is going to be made out of. This would be the time to put it in the center, and then you would bless your project. This is very important to our traditional people, because it means that not only will you, this drum will be used for a good purpose, it will actually bless other people that hear it. It will bless the singer that sings on it, and it will bring good things and good feelings, and maybe an air of celebration, and that this animal who gave its life will live again through your music and through your drumming. Now that we have everything ready to go, I've already prayed over this project. We're ready to put it together. Okay, let's get busy, and we will actually put skin on this frame, and I will show you a couple of the steps that need to be done. One of them is this first tie. This isn't a Native American tie. This is just an actual, what's called an ancient tie. And bring this around. And then normally I take one of the thicker holes where the hide is really thick, and you can just feel by your fingers, and you can find a set of holes that's really thick, and you want to tie off your lace to those holes. What I like to do is go in the face. The facing side means this smooth side, and the inside of the skin is facing up. So I like to go in through the face of the hide, and then make a little knot to anchor it. And then I'll come around with the rest of this lace. And I know this kind of looks like it's, it may not hold the drum, but trust me, when we're through, it will hold the drum. So as we go around, this is the only one that's actually going to go through the holes. And then after we get this lace tied in, then the other one's going to go actually pretty quick. So all we need to do is go around with this one, and then we'll start with our actual lace that we make the tie across the frame, and then the handle we'll make with the excess. We're going to go in through the face, and pull it, and then back out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to thin this lace out just a bit with my scissors so that I can tie it together. Here's where we go through and make sure we have kind of like a uniform amount of slack in each of these holes. And we'll bring the ones that are a little bit more around to these ones that don't have any. And what that's going to do is that when we lace through these, it's going to allow this to come up and over the edge of the frame and give us a little bit more rawhide for the lace to grab onto. So we're about all even right there. And then we can start with this lace. And this lace, we're going to have an anchor point, which means we're going to need to do a little bit of trimming and then make a hole. And what this does is it makes a hole in the end of the lace to where you can put it through a hole and then put the lace through it, and it'll anchor this lace to wherever you're coming from. So we'll start with this anchor point, and we'll put our frame right directly in the center. And we want to make sure it's not going to tangle up. So we're going to go through all the lace. Now you have one end that you're going to start with, and this is going to be the anchor point to where you're going to anchor your lace. Since we have a hole here, we're going to count 4 over. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to anchor at the next junction, which would be here. And then we're going to start tying the lace to the frame. Make sure you don't get knotted up. And you want to work from side to side. So you're going to go back over here and just pull the lace through. We're going through this way and then pulling the lace through so that we're not going through the actual holes, we're actually going through this lace that's already in the holes. And this first time as we go around, we're not doing it real tight. It's got to be nice and loose. And we want to work opposite, so I'm going this way on this set and this way on this set of holes. So as we go around, we just follow each set of holes. Each time I pull, I grab the rawhide and I hold it in a loop for the next time, so that it's not just flying off the table and grabbing things off the floor. as it dries. Basically what we have here is our hand drum. It is our 15-inch with steer hide, natural rawhide, and it's not quite finished, but once nature gets through with it, then we'll have a nice sounding drum. I know it looked a little complex. If you missed anything, you can review it online. My name is Sean Littlebear, and it's been fun doing this project with you. Ha-ho! Thank you for joining us.